This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
You all ready for this? Mm-hmm. Dun 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 dun.
No. Y'all, just stop. This is a sham. Welcome to DBL. Happy Friday, everybody. We have Stephanie Jones on the panel to give her thoughts on the passing of the Queen. So thank you, Steph, for joining us. Let's jump right in. So people all over the world are mourning the loss of Queen Elizabeth II. Britain has begun a period of national mourning with long lines of people waiting to lay flowers for the Queen at Buckingham Palace. King Charles and his wife Camilla, now known as the Queen Consort, returned to Buckingham Palace earlier today. He then went out and greeted and even comforted people who came out to pay their respects to the Queen. In Hyde Park in central London today, there was a 96-gun salute to the Queen. So, Steph, you're our British insider again. Sorry about your loss. Thank you for being here. Talk to us about the royal funeral. What are they doing to honor and remember the Queen? We saw the 96-gun salute. What else do they have planned in the coming days?
So it's going to be quite extensive, as obviously the Queen currently, her body is in Scotland at a palace where there will be a very small service, and then she will move down to London where the royal family will be able to pay respects before going to Westminster, where the public will be able to pay their respects for 4 days. Then her coffin will be led by a gun carriage through the streets where people, I'm sure the people of Britain the streets will be lined and they will be mourning very heavily before her funeral, which will be televised. So this is something that will happen over the next few days. It's not going to be quick. We're looking at about the next 10 to 12 days.
Wow. I also wanted to give a shout out because I don't know if you guys know the Paddington Bear connection to the Queen Elizabeth. They had a lovely connection, but today Paddington Bear tweeted out this, which is going to make everyone cry. Thank you, ma'am, for everything. And if you don't know where that's from, at the Platinum Jubilee, there was a sketch that Paddington did with the Queen, and I think we have a little bit of here, and I want you to see it. It's beautiful. Take a look.
Happy Jubilee, ma'am. And thank you for everything.
That's very kind.
Yeah, it just makes everyone tear up.
Yeah, he's a national treasure as well. Yeah. He's like one of our cartoons. He's been in our books since growing up, and that was a really special and sweet moment.
Yeah.
But there was also a funny moment. You know, it can't be all sad. She pulled a sandwich out of her.
Marmalade face.
Yeah. You know, we can laugh a little bit. We can laugh.
So
that's great that the Queen does funny comedy like that. You know,
it humanizes her.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's also a time to celebrate her life. So, Steph, talk to us a little bit about all the things she's seen over her 70 years holding that title.
I know. You've got to think she's done more than any of us will ever do in our lifetimes combined, literally. She has been there as a rock and a steady light of hope and grace and dignity for the people of the United Kingdom and the world. She really is a shining example. So she was there in World War II. She was a mechanic getting her hands dirty while we were literally at war. She was there assisting and with Winston Churchill at that time. She's been working with over 15 different prime ministers. Think about that. She was there when the first man landed on the moon, when the Berlin Wall came down. I mean, the things that she has done and seen in her lifetime and always remained consistent. When everything in the world is so rapidly changing, she has been the one consistent. She's been the only queen I've ever known in my lifetime and will ever know.
And experts were saying she literally died with her crown on because she just met the new incoming prime minister just days before. So she's doing her duties
from Winston Churchill to like 2 days before her death.
Right.
Exactly.
Unbelievable.
It's really unbelievable when you lay down her accomplishments and how long she was queen and the amount of presidents, of American presidents, 14 presidents she went through, American presidents. That's like nuts. And me and my brother-in-law were talking on the way home yesterday, and he goes, "Oh, I feel bad about the Queen. I guess she lived a good life." I go, "Kind of lived a good life? Maybe the best life that ever has lived ever on the planet."
He likes to understate things.
But his condolences as well. So stars are also remembering the Queen. Sir Elton John, who was knighted by the Queen in 1998, shared his memories of the monarch during a concert last night in Toronto. Let's watch.
She's been with me all my life, and I feel very sad that she won't be with me anymore. But I'm glad she's at peace, and I'm glad she's at rest, and she deserves it. She's worked bloody hard.
Daniel Craig also sent his condolences to the royal family. He was in a bid for the 2012 London Olympics with the Queen. Earlier this year, he revealed to Stephen Colbert the Queen had a wicked sense of humor. Let's take a look.
very funny, wants to crack a joke and cracked a joke about me.
Can you share with the joke?
Yeah, she said, we're having our photographs taken, and she just went, oh no, he's the one that doesn't smile. Fair enough.
See, Al, you were just saying humor humanizes a person.
Absolutely. And you think about like how much pressure was on her, and Steph, you've spoken about this eloquently, to always kind of maintain this stoic, representation of a country, of its history. And that pressure valve has to be released, and it'll be released through humor. And if I was Daniel Craig, I'd be like, the Queen knows who I am.
Yeah. That's all I would,
Isn't that amazing? But it just goes to show she had such a good sense of humour. And not only with celebrities, but I saw this beautiful interview where she was with someone who worked very closely with her up in Scotland. They were walking through the malls of Scotland. There were 2 Americans there, and they approached her and said, apparently the Queen goes walking around. Have you ever seen her? And they were talking to the Queen, and she said, oh, I don't know. I've never seen her, but he definitely has. He sees her every day. They're like, no way. They gave their phone to the Queen, said, do you mind taking a selfie with him? Because
That's hilarious.
And then he said, you know what, I'll take a selfie, but take a selfie with her too. And she said, I would love to be a fly on the wall when they go back to America and show their friends and family, oh yeah, we met these people, they know the Queen. And it's was the Queen Elizabeth.
That reminds me.
Wow.
There's
crazy.
a famous story of a guy that sat next to Prince in first class and had no idea who he was.
What?
And apparently Prince loved it because like everybody knows. So just to tell you, he's like, hey, yeah, how's your day? And I guess he showed the picture to his kids, and they were like, that was Prince. Yeah, I think that's so cool.
Can you imagine? But it just goes, she's got such a good sense of humour.
Dry sense of
She
humor.
didn't care that they didn't know who she was. She thought it was very fun. And exactly, she showed us that side publicly when she parachuted literally with James Bond down into the middle of the Olympic arena when we held the Olympics in London. Again, another accolade to her extensive CV. It's fantastic.
It's really unbelievable, honestly, unbelievable. So the Queen's impact on Hollywood goes beyond her relationship with celebrities. She's been depicted in everything from movies to current TV shows. Some of them we're referencing right now. Helen Mirren famously played her in the movie The Queen and received an Oscar for the role. Helen was made a dame in 2003, 3 years before the movie came out. More recently, 3 different actresses have starred as the Queen in the Netflix series The Crown, including Claire Foy and Olivia Colman. Speaking of The Crown, filming has been suspended to honor the Queen. Strangely, a scene covering Princess Diana's death was scheduled to be filmed today in Barcelona. A little ironic. I don't mean to put those together. Right. You know what I mean?
But I think it's the right thing to do to stop filming, I would assume, don't you think?
Absolutely. I think it's a sign of respect. And at the end of the day, she's a woman that kept her private life very private. She never shared her religious, political, military beliefs. She kept everything to herself, and she was the face of a nation, literally. And I think to say that obviously this is a Hollywood film production, I think it was definitely the right thing to do, to put that all on pause and hold while the family are grieving, and the world.
Yeah. And I think like outside looking in, we all, as an American, wanted to know what's going on over there. What's it really like to be a royal? What happens? Do they argue? Are they just happy every day? And so, we don't get to see that because we're not reading papers that cover them every single day like maybe you were, or just understanding and living over there. But I think there's like a deep interest when you think about how well The Crown did, and that show on Netflix, and people are watching it and interested. And then I had the opportunity to study abroad when I was in college, and I was in London for 4 months, and I really understood what happens over there and why it's such a big part of the culture. Because before that, at 18, I'm like, who still wants a king and a queen? Like all these different things that we don't get over here just because that was not our upbringing. And it's so relevant to how you guys move forward. And even the Queen would always make these statements, like small things make big impacts, and just those little statements can help bring a nation together in so many historic moments.
Absolutely.
And so it was such a big deal that you can help better explain to everybody more than just spending a little bit of time over there.
Absolutely. No, seriously, the Queen and the royal family, it's such a beautiful tradition, and the Queen herself was all about tradition. And I remember every single year on Christmas Day with my family, we would wait for the Queen's speech, and she would have a beautiful little cup of tea, and we would all sit there and watch her and just really enjoy that moment. And she would deliver the most beautiful, inspiring messages at some of our darkest times. I mean, we went through a global pandemic. I wasn't able to go home and see my family, but I made sure I watched the Queen's speech, and it made me feel a little bit closer to home. And I know that she was just so inspirational to so many people, and she offered that. And the value of tradition is something she really enforced. I think it's something that we all need to take very seriously. Value, family, honesty, dignity. dignity and decorum, which I think a lot of people today simply don't have.
Absolutely.
But she was the embodiment of that.
We got to run, but did you talk to your parents? Have you spoken on the phone with them?
Yes.
Were they crushed? What was their reaction?
Well, I remember when I first spoke to my mum in the morning when I first got the news, and my mum was in complete shock. She said, "What are you talking about? She's fine. She did an appearance a few days ago. She's fine."
Right.
And so I think, you know, initially everyone was just horrified, and I think, you know, obviously I was on the show speaking about her yesterday, and I think it hadn't actually sunk in. I was like, I
was kind of looking at you yesterday, and I could tell you were
information that I knew, but I didn't actually have time to process what was actually happening. And obviously, do I know? A lot of Americans say, "Do you live near the Queen? Do you live?" No, England's a very big country. Like, I don't know her personally, but I tell you what, she touched my life personally. She's someone who's been a consistent, and I will greatly miss her.
That's the difference between you and me. I would be like, "Oh, we share a wall. We stay that close together."
Thank you so much, Steph. I love that insight. I love that insight. Coming up on DBL, we're continuing to honor the Queen with a look back at some Hollywood royalty she's met over the years. But first, drama for an Atlanta housewife, why she's being accused of stealing looks. Erica breaks it all down for us in What Erica's Watching, coming up next.
Closed captioning provided by
Hey, just stopping by to say we're taking over. We're made of this. We're taking over. You know what time it is. We're taking over.
Does anyone's iPhone ever call the police? Well, mine did this morning. I just got an alert. It said, your phone has initiated emergency SOS at 8:59 a.m. when the side button was pressed 5 times. How does that happen inside of your purse? Literally 5 times? So I had a hectic morning with the alarm going off, police calling me, am I okay? I'm telling them I'm okay, they don't believe me.
I know.
They think I'm like lying, trying to pretend. But it's like the craziest thing that, I love the technology, but like, it really makes for a crazy morning when the police are calling your line and like, does that ever happen to you, Al?
This is all on tape, right?
It's gotten close, because when I go to shut my phone off, especially if I'm about to do a show, sometimes because the shut off and then it says the red 911.
Yeah, you see, you're like
right next to each other, and like if you're about to go on, you're like, oh, let me just go ahead and call the cops real quick on this venue and go tell some jokes. But yeah, it's a weird.
I appreciate it because they want you to be like, they want you to have like a backup to like get in touch with the police instead of like dialing 911. But I just think a lot of my friends, especially moms that have 20,000 things in their purse plus baby stuff, are always calling the police by accident.
I don't know if you've seen it, Lindsay, but there's a Vice. They do these things on YouTube, like these 15-minute.
I love those. I just watched one about the Kardashian robber.
Oh yeah,
it's really good.
It's great. Yeah, they had one about they're in a mask and their voices altered, but it was one about a guy that was a 911 operator, and like the stuff he says he hears every day, and like sometimes like because a lot of times if it's not your purse calling them, it's hard to figure out where the call's coming from.
Yeah.
And so they try and triangulate like where the call is, like based on cell phone. But if you're like far out, he was like sometimes they just have to go to the next call. Like he's like people have PTSD. It's you forget about like 911. You think I call 911, but that's a person.
Yeah.
And then you're every time they pick up the phone, it's somebody's worst day of their life.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like you never think that it's a person there, but it's like so. It was really humanizing, like what they're asked to do, and like, yeah, what a job, and like.
I always wonder that about like therapists. I asked my therapist, like, do you have a therapist? I know it's like not my job to ask her questions.
What did they say? I thought they did.
Well, she said she understands a lot of what she teaches, and so she, makes sure she takes time to herself, so she doesn't have her own.
DBL is kicking off our season 6 premiere with the one and only Jerry Springer. It's finally here for Sheree. Also, there's a new show on my watch list, and Janet Jackson surprises a major fan in this week's What Erica's Watching. Now first, Atlanta housewife Sheree finally debuted her fashions during the season 14 finale.
It started late, but it was worth the wait.
Darling. Now, the lady seemed quite impressed, but she also received some shady reviews. Sheree is being accused of stealing looks from the budget-friendly online retailer Shein. So is it She by Sheree or Shein by Sheree? Sis, send me a couple samples and let me be the judge. Next, Issa Rae returned to HBO. Now, if you haven't seen her new show, it's about female rappers. It's called Rap
Attention! Let's go! I want to try something different.
This could change our lives.
Gonna be some private jets. Some lobster. Who here like lobster? Speak up, speak up.
Obviously, I'm a huge fan. Now, the finale is here, and I suggest you binge the season because a second season likely is on the way. Now, Brandy and Eve's rap musical Queen didn't make it to a season 2. Quite a shame. So don't miss out on these ladies, okay? Finally, fans don't want to say goodbye to Tiana Taylor during her final Rose tour. Last year, the young performer announced she was retiring as a recording artist, but her idol Janet Jackson was one of the first to tell her to hold on. And recently, Janet even surprised her during one of her last shows. Share with me anything that catches your eye by using the hashtag DBLEricaWatch. We'll be right back.
It's important to surround yourself with the right people.
According to the National Consumer Law Center, a leading cause of bankruptcy in the U.S. is medical debt. They say surprise medical bills from out-of-network doctors play a big role in this issue. A viral TikTok claims that hospitals are legally required to provide an itemized bill, which is a line-by-line breakdown of all medical services and their costs if a patient requests one. These detailed bills allow patients to check for and contest duplicate or erroneous charges. But this claim needs context. Using these sources, let me walk you through what is and isn't required when it comes to hospital bills. There is no federal legal requirement that hospitals provide an itemized bill upon request like that viral video implies, except when it comes to Medicare patients. They have that right regardless of location, according to the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. As for everyone else, well, about half of states have laws on the books that give patients the right to receive a copy of an itemized bill from a hospital upon request. In the other states, hospital systems can set their own policies about providing itemized bills. And if they don't have a policy, our experts warn hospitals could refuse to provide you with one. Patient advocacy expert Anne-Marie Quintagli-McElwain says patients should find out if their state has a patient's Bill of Rights, which is a document that explains how people can reasonably expect to be treated during their hospital stay, including whether or not they're entitled to an itemized bill. What is required nationwide is that hospitals provide a good faith estimate of all costs in advance to medical care for uninsured patients and those paying out of pocket. This is because of the No Surprises Act that went into effect in January. With your Verify, I'm Ariane Till.
Welcome back. The Queen has met her fair share of Hollywood royalty over the past 70 years, including Al Jackson.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
That's definitely not true.
First of all, Tori believes you.
I know. I was like, I hope the audience doesn't. Sorry for that. I didn't know my acting was so on point. All right. All right, so you met Marilyn Monroe back in 1956, and Marilyn broke royal protocol by wearing a low-cut dress. That was Marilyn? It didn't look low. All right, President John F. Kennedy and his wife Jackie famously met the Queen in 1961. He gifted her an autographed portrait of himself.
Ooh,
All
that
right.
ain't not a good look.
Liz Taylor paid a visit to Buckingham Palace back in 1976 with her soon-to-be sixth husband, John Warner. The Queen made Liz a dame in 2000. Paul McCartney met the Queen, listen to this, on numerous occasions. The first time he met her, he won an essay writing contest, and he was only 10.
Wow.
That's incredible, right?
That's a good trajectory coming.
I know, huh? Speaking of musicians, the Queen has met all of the original Spice Girls.
I was about to say, is that cool?
Of all of her accomplishments, this could have been left off the list. I'm just saying. I know it's a national treasure.
Yeah.
As well as Jennifer Lopez backstage at a theater, and Lady Gaga wore a red latex dress or suit, whatever you want to call it, when she met the Queen back in 2009.
I'll tell you what, you know that picture of the Spice Girls, if we pull it back up, and Jerry was wearing a slightly low-cut top, I must admit, not appropriate when you're meeting the royals, but she also went on to pinch the now King King's bum.
Really?
She'd pinch Prince Charles's bum. Yeah, so she'll be one of the only people that can say, I've pinched King Charles's bum.
Whoa.
Is that allowed?
Steph, I don't know if you know
Absolutely not.
yeah, that's okay. I don't know if you know the answers to this, but how does the Queen decide, like, oh, I like you, you're going to be a dame? Like, how does that even work?
There's a lot. You've got to hit so many criteria, and you have to have given back so much to the community or to your career, you know. So you have to have done so much before you don't just get knighted or be given the title of a dame. It's very prestigious. It's very hard.
Let's talk about a couple of those stars that got knighted, shall we? So she knighted the late actor Sean Connery back in 2000 because of his passion for Scottish nationalism.
Nice.
Joan Collin was also named a dame for, I'm so used to saying Dame Joe Collin. That Joan Collin was named dame.
It's the prequel.
Yeah, exactly. The prequel for her work with a number of different charities over the years. Mick Jagger was knighted in 2003, but not by the Queen. Is that technically like still knighting? It was rumored she wasn't a fan of his anti-establishment views.
Oh, wow.
And Angelina Jolie received an honorary damehood from the Queen for her humanitarian work. Now, if the Queen doesn't knight you,
does that count?
Maybe you're like mid-afternoon.
It does still
You know what I
count,
mean?
I've got to say.
Nobody got that
power,
joke?
Right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
Ira's laughing at my joke. Thanks, buddy.
You would have wanted it to have been the Queen Elizabeth, absolutely. But I'm sure when King Charles does it, people will be just as excited. But it just goes to show your accolades have got to be so high. You've got to have done so much for charities and for other people. Like I said, you don't just get given this.
Yeah, because it's like, you know, no disrespect, but when you get knighted or being made a dame, you're doing it for the gram a little bit. You want that picture, and people
For
like,
sure.
I thought it was going to be the Queen. It's like, no, that's Brenda, her assistant. Like, yeah,
it's no good.
It kind of bursted my bubble when I realized that people like go after a Hollywood star on the Walk of Fame, not comparing the two, but you like put your name in the hat and then have to get accepted. Like, I feel like, is that the same thing for the dame and knighted thing?
I'm literally horrified that you even compare the two.
I'm sorry.
You cannot compare a piece of crappy concrete on the dirty streets of Hollywood to being knighted.
I apologize, Steph. I apologize. There was offense.
How dare you?
Treason. Off with her head.
You know what's really
shocking?
Off with her head. You know what I found was interesting is the Queen has been around for so long that Paul McCartney, as you said, met her a bunch of times, wrote a song about how he had the hots for her back in the day.
Yeah.
The Queen was like a little bitty beauty, and he like loved her. That's how long it's been.
Yeah.
I was Steph. I've always wondered because we were looking at those pictures and there were obviously they said Marilyn's dress was too short. We saw like
too low cut.
Too low cut. So are there some rules? I remember there was a thing with Trump where like he walked in front of her.
Oh, absolutely
what are the rules with the
outrageous.
queens? Like don't let them see that your back.
Don't touch her, right?
Absolutely. So you've hit a few of the nails literally on the head. So first of all, you should never be spoken unless you're spoken to. You should wait for the Queen to initiate all conversation. Don't be asking her anything inappropriate, small talk only. You don't want to show your back to the Queen. You do not want to touch the Queen. So, I mean, Michelle Obama back in 2009 went in for a hug, which is very endearing and sweet, but very inappropriate. And I think the whole room would have gasped at that point,
Yes.
like, oh,
Wow.
Yeah, you can't touch her.
I would have been
Jeff would have been
thrown
like-
out of there. I would have been in Buckingham Fountain face down. All right. We'll be right back.
Buckingham Fountain. I love it.
Promotional Consideration is brought to you by...
There are clear signs of it here, but the palace intrigue extends well beyond the British embassy here in this country, even if the only power the royal family really has over us is to keep us curious and keep us interested. In the wake of her death after 70 years on the throne, it's the first time that most of the world will see what happens next.
We turn to several sources listed here to verify a few questions. Charles is divorced. Doesn't that disqualify him from being king? Actually, that's a big misconception that ending his first marriage to Diana Spencer was a disqualifier. It's the remarriage part to Camilla Parker Bowles that historically could have caused an issue. Because of the Royal Marriages Act of 1772, marriages of close royal family members require approval from the Queen, which she granted in this remarriage. This, plus a softening of the Church of England's stance on divorce and remarriage in 2002, kept Charles's place in the line of succession secured. The Queen also declared his wife Camilla Queen Consort once Charles became king. Why is Charles already king without a formal coronation? According to British law and the Office of the Privy Council, a new sovereign succeeds to the throne as soon as their predecessor dies. The days to come will be full of small ceremonies and official marks of his ascent to the throne, but the ceremonial coronation takes a lot of preparation and planning and might not happen for some time. So what's the line of succession now? Prince William, Charles's oldest son, is now first in line, then his children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, then Prince Harry, his kids Archie and Lilibet, then the Queen's other son, Prince Andrew, his daughter, Princess Beatrice, her daughter, Sienna, then Prince Andrew's other daughter, Princess Eugenie, and her son, August Philip.
Princess Charlotte, William and Kate's daughter, has that spot on the list because of a 2013 law change. Gender no longer plays a role in the order of succession. It's just one more example of the many ways in which things changed over her great-grandmother's long reign. With your Verify, I'm Abby Larico.
Starbucks is the world's largest coffee chain, filling more than 100 million orders every week. A viral Twitter post with more than 25,000 likes claims Starbucks will soon be passing on the buck, with its stores soon going cashless. The post prompted some people on social media to say they'll boycott the chain if that happens. Verify viewer Mel emailed us to ask if the rumors are true. So Mel, let's verify. Are all Starbucks stores going cashless? Our sources are Starbucks and the Federal Reserve. The original Twitter post was from a British political commentator and included a photograph from a Starbucks in the UK. Starbucks UK tweeted in response to the criticism that all of its stores are not going cashless, although some locations that license the Starbucks brand may decide to stop accepting cash on an individual basis. Verify also contacted Starbucks worldwide headquarters in Seattle, which told us, quote, Starbucks has no plans to go cashless across our UK, US, or Canada stores, and we want to shut down any inaccuracies or further speculation on this matter, unquote. So, no, all Starbucks stores are not going cashless, although at least one location in the UK is. The Federal Reserve says in the US, there is no federal law that prohibits businesses from going cashless, but some states and cities have laws that require merchants with a storefront to accept cash. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Hey, no time to run, no games. Your time has come today. Just stopping by to say we're taking over. We're made of this. We're taking over. You know what time it is. We're taking over. We're made to win.
DBL is all new every day. Mine starts Monday. That's Monday right there.
That's Monday.
So, Steph, before we go, we're out of time, but I just want us to thank you for coming and explaining a lot to us and what your family's been going through. You've been going through. I didn't realize how much the Queen meant to someone like you and your family and everyone else in England.
I agree. You know what? Sometimes it takes us losing something really precious to value it, and I think a lot of people already value the Queen, obviously. But you know what? She deserves this time, the spotlight, and for us to remember her amazing accolades and everything she's done.
Which is still, to me, unbelievable. So thank you, and thank you guys. Well, have a great weekend. We'll see you with our new season starting Monday.